But never in the history of man has anything ever been free, convenient, and safe. It doesn't exist. Yet Captain Bobo, the president of the Corporation of the United States, says, just get it, man. Just get it. It's convenient, it's free, and it's safe. Liar. It is your buddies Thor, and Dude Man is actually on the couch. So he's taking a load off. So I am here. As you can see behind me, I have moved. And sorry for the kind of informal, laid back chat, but you know what? I got a lot of people that have been asking me where I'm at, what's going on, how come I haven't been on here, and so I wanted to check in. I did a recording yesterday, but I did it while I was driving, and I just can't stand doing those anymore. I mean, it's convenient for me because I'm driving anyway, and plus I had quite a lot to say about that speech from President Bobo. And so I had a lot to unload yesterday, but I just thought, you know what, I need to take some time. I need to sit down because there's a lot of things I've talked to a few people about lately, actually a lot more than a few. And it's just time for me to, make some time to sit down and get back on the horse now. I will have a lot of this stuff kind of cleaned up in the future. I'm almost there. So I got to have my storage unit cleared out in the next couple days. So that's why I've just been moving everything out and then trying to get it situated. But I want to, be here and check in and be part of, everybody's life because we need each other now more than ever. We need to be talking to one another now more than ever. I can't tell you how, wonderful it is to hear people miss hearing my voice and hearing what I have to say about what's going on here. And that community of them missing me, and then also being able to talk to some of these people on the phone, through email, and then there's a lot of other people that, I just haven't been in contact with, but I appreciate everybody on here. I've actually got, some new subscribers that while I was kind of out. So, and the other reason I also was kind of hesitant coming back right away is because I had somebody pound me with 2 strikes in a row in like 2 days. So it was like, 3 strikes, you're out. So I had to really kind of think about what in the world happened. And basically there's a guy that I study with, Patrick Devine. He is an American, and he always did his lectures and said, I'm not charging anyone. I want all this information to get out to the American public. Please share and get everybody to listen to these videos. So I put the videos up, but there's some jackass at Radiant Clone, and his email is radiantclone@gmail. And I only found out he doesn't have his email available anywhere to reach out. I only found out because YouTube sent it to me because he's the person that put 2 strikes. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is free stuff from a guy who specifically said, I'm giving this to you for free. Please share it. And this guy has somehow, once the guy died, he commandeered his free information, and he has now, I guess, copywritten it somehow. And I haven't really thoroughly checked into it or whatever, but he obviously has enough of a legal standpoint to be able to strike me from YouTube. So I took down those videos. I will have access for you guys later. But if you go to Radiant Clone, just screenshot the video and save it. Don't bother putting the hours I'm watching on his, because just whatever. It was just very bizarre that somebody that is in the quote-unquote truth community would take something that was freely given to people and sorry about that. Take something that was freely given to people and somehow want to monetize it and then ding people for using it. He said, that's not the way you share content. And I'm like, it's not even your content. Anyway, Okay, all that to be said, it's just bizarre that I got 2 strikes in a row. So it made me a little bit off. And plus, I was just busy. As you can see, So anyway, life is getting situated, though. I moved to Orange County. It is amazing down here. I'm so glad to be here. I can't tell you. There is just a different energy. I still work in LA. I still got to perform up there. But, I just performed in West Hollywood today, where they just announced that they're requiring vaccine passports in West Hollywood. Okay? And I guess I'm going to have to also be careful about some of the words I use. So I'm going to have to start kind of coding. My good friend Matt got this from somebody else, called the Jabba-Dabba-Doo. So we'll call it the Jabba-Dabba-Doo. Okay, the Jabba-Dabba-Doo. And so they're requiring a Jabba-Dabba-Doo passport for everybody. And it was kind of freaky, again, being up there where everybody had a mask on. But also it's also bizarre because, the people I was performing for, they did take their mask off. So they're not terrified. It's not like they're afraid. It's just that they've been conditioned now to do this, and that's what they do, or else they can't participate in certain things up there. So it's so bizarre, and it's not going to stop. I keep telling people it's not going to stop. So they have pushed this so far, and they're going to keep pushing this, and this is going to be, they kept telling you it's the new normal. So it is the new normal. But the way we circumnavigate this is what I keep, I had another friend of mine, Andrew, call me today, and he's like, bro, did you see the speech? And I'm like, yes, I saw it. And he's like, well, what are we going to do? And I said, well, there's a couple things we can do. And the first thing for me was, I filed my passport with an affidavit specifically claiming American national. I am not a U.S. citizen, because I'm not. I'm not part of the corporation of the United States. And I know a lot of you are saying, what are you talking about? Well, there is, in the U.S. Code, it clearly identifies 2 different political statuses. One political status being an American national, the other political status being U.S. citizen. One is free, one is a slave. Okay, so if you are identifying as a U.S. citizen, first your parents put you into that, right? And then after your parents put you into it, you have continued to identify as a U.S. citizen. So you can be international law says you can be part of any club, but then you have to abide by their rules, okay? But you can also discontinue your membership anytime you want. Hey. So he's just licking. His skin's been a little itchy, so I don't want him to lick himself into a frenzy. So you can be part of any club you want, but you can discontinue that as well. And I have discontinued. So you send an affidavit in with your passport. You put not a U.S. citizen. Now it's on record, okay? And you will have to start learning how to live your life that way too. I'm not going to take this video to get into that. I have other videos that you guys can go watch. Again, I get people that email me all the time, and I keep telling them I've already done a video about that. So there are already videos out there about that. And I'll do more later. It's not like I'm done. But it's important for you to go catch up the videos that I have already, and then we can have a conversation, because the emails I'm getting clearly show that people have not looked at my other videos. So things are moving so fast, I got to keep up with them. I don't have time to rehash the same information all the time. Okay, but what I can do is I can encourage people for your basic information. I go a little bit step further when it comes to like discharging debt and stuff like that. Okay, I go a little bit further in that, and that's where my study has taken me now, and I'm going to continue with that as soon as life gets settled. But as far as your general American national U.S. citizen, separating the living person from the natural person, the natural person from the artificial person. And if you haven't looked in a Black's Law Dictionary or Bouvier's Law Dictionary or Ballantyne's Law Dictionary and look up persons, you will find that there's a natural person and an artificial person. Why is it defined natural person, artificial person? Well, because they created a corpse, a corporation, okay, out of your birth certificate, okay? They flipped your name backwards. They took the surname that's always superior comes first, family always comes first. They took that first name, your superior name, and they made it your last name. Now your family name's your last name, okay? So they flipped them around, they trademarked that, and they created a bond on banknote paper, and they filed that bond with the Secretary of State, okay? Who is the banker of the state? He is the head of the bank at the state. So I know a lot of people are saying, what are you talking about? That's crazy. But you only have a certified copy of that birth certificate. You can never, ever be allowed to have the original, and that's because it's owned by your owners who created that artificial person. Okay, again, I'm not going to get too in depth with this right now because I have so many other things to talk about, but I just want to touch it real quickly as to why it's important, because as these guys are starting to put more and more rules on people, you need to understand they're talking about the U.S. citizen slave. They're talking about the artificial person. They're only talking about that because if you listen to something that Biden said that was the absolute revelation, okay, for anybody who can really hear and understand what somebody is saying, he said, I have the authority over the federal system. He didn't say I have the authority over America. He didn't say I have the authority over the nation of America. He said, I have the authority over the federal system. Now, why on earth would this guy who was reading a teleprompter, by the way, if you can't understand it, I've been an actor for 23 years, okay? Somebody who is reading a teleprompter does it like this. Their eyes pretty much stay the same way, and they read a teleprompter. And I just want, it's just, listen, we just have to do it. And because he's just focused on, the size of the words are about this big, and it's important for him to just keep focusing on those words. Me, when I'm talking and I'm just talking to you, bluntly, my eyes will change, my expressions will change, So he read that entire thing off of a teleprompter, and then he dipped. He immediately ran off stage, didn't answer any questions, okay? So when I tell clients of mine, patients of mine about, say, I was talking to a lady about her adhesions in the bottom of her foot, her plantar fasciitis, and the scar tissue that's built up. I had a long conversation about her today, talking to her about how it happened, how to fix it. And she was able, when I got done talking to her, she started asking me questions. And I stood there and I answered all of her questions, because for me to make a big speech about all these things that I know to be true, I'd better be able to stand on that truth. And if I can't stay and field some questions on that truth, then I'm full of shit, okay? If I were to run off after I just said everything I said, she wouldn't trust me at all. Now, that doesn't mean that the general sheep, the great majority of the sheep, 97% of the population is going to, go right along with what they are saying. Okay, they're going to be like, oh, that makes sense. My good friend, we'll call him B. My good friend B called me, or I called him actually, and then he returned my call. I love him to death. He's my brother from another mother. But, his comment today was, just get it, man. Just get it. And he's like, this is also a business decision because you're going to have trouble getting work. And I'm like, yeah, no kidding. And, for him, I couldn't believe he said it was a business decision too, that I'm going to compromise my health and my beliefs for money. I'm not going to do it. And I'm just not going to do it. God will provide another way. He'll provide another way. But it was pretty scary that my friend of 17 years is telling me to just get it, just do it, because it'll be easier for you. So that being said, it was a little disheartening, but people are going to be saying that. The more that they tighten the screws, people are going to be giving up. I had another good actor friend of mine. He just told me the other day, you know what? We just got to stop fighting everyone. We'll just do it. Let's just get the jabba-dabba-doo. And, I'll just do a detox afterwards. I'm a really healthy guy. I'll be fine. I'm an ox. I think that's what he said. I'm healthy as an ox. And, but again, we don't know what's being put in there. So, and I'm not willing to risk it, because I will tell you this. Being a health practitioner and helping people with their health, I hear a lot about what's going on, their concerns, and why wouldn't I want to participate? And, and I had a gal the other day, her friend was a dancer. He was an 80-something-year-old dancer. He went and got the jabba-dabba-doo, and that was it. A week later, he was no longer with us. Okay? And then my good friend Nika, which you're going to hear from very soon, because I'm going to be doing a interview with her. I was going to do it with her a while ago, and she has literally, she's like living the life of Job right now. She is being challenged and challenged and challenged. She, I shared with her that the medical system wouldn't help her, and canceled her surgery to help her baby, and she lost her baby because they wouldn't help her. Then they put her on unpaid leave because she won't get the jabba-dabba-doo. Which is just, she's a nurse, So we have nurses. My neighbor, she's a nurse, and she's not getting it either. So there's a lot of smart people out there that are also standing tall. And then so Nika's husband also has been given a 2-week ultimatum, because he works for the city of New York, and he said no way. So a lot of people are being challenged, and we're going to have to keep standing up one way or the other. Dude, man. Now he's chewing on his nails, so sorry. We're going to have to just really stand tall and keep fighting, because this isn't going to end. They're going to keep tightening the screws. Again, remember, when I had my awakening in 2014, I remember seeing a picture of thousands of these little brown shirts all doing the Heil Hitler, right? 1,000 little brown shirts. And I remember asking myself, how on earth did they get all of these little children, little kids, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? How did they get them all to dress alike, do the same salute, and then also hate people that weren't them? If you weren't in their club, which at the time the club was the Nazi club. Now the club is the United States Citizen Club. Okay, if you're not in their club, then they hate you. You're dangerous. Remember, they said that people who were not in their club were dangerous. They said they were dirty. They were disease-ridden, right? Because they weren't pure. And again, it wasn't, it was Jews, it was Catholics, it was blacks, it was gays, it was, all these people were persecuted. Anybody who wasn't them. And that's exactly what's happening now. So them wanting us to wear a mask, get the jabba-dabba-doo, all that stuff. If we're not going to go along with everything they have to say, we are basically the enemy, right? Even though we're all in the same country. So the exact same thing is happening now. And the way for us to get through this is to come together as community, all right? To come together as community, share with one another. I've fielded calls from people who are nervous and upset, and I get it. You're nervous and upset. You're scared. And, the thing is, we all need to be present. So don't worry about what's going to happen next month. Just be present now and just keep working hard now. Cultivate your other skills instead of sitting around watching Netflix, which is what they want you to do. They want you sitting around. There's an ungodly amount of entertainment out there. They want you playing video games. I know people are spending $500 on PlayStation 5s when they need to be cultivating another talent of theirs. If you have another skill you can use to get out of that job and get into doing something with your other skill, you best be doing it. Okay, because they have gotten everyone leaning on the government cheese. I have friends who are on unemployment and they don't want to get it. But at some point, what's going to happen is they're going to go, we'll give you that if you get the jab-dab-do. They're going to keep tightening the screws. So you need to be ready to, I haven't taken any of those stimuluses. I haven't taken anything from them because nothing's for free. Okay? Now think about this too. When in the hell in history of man ever has anything been free, convenient, and safe? Huh? Nothing in this life is safe. It's impossible. There is nothing that is safe. And nothing that is good is ever free. And it's certainly not convenient. Anything that's good for you, you have to work for. Your health is good for you. You got to work for it. But never in the history of man has anything ever been free, convenient, and safe. It doesn't exist. Yet Captain Bobo, the president of the Corporation of the United States, says, just get it, man. Just get it. It's convenient, it's free, and it's safe. Liar. There's nothing safe about it. And I'll tell you right now what's not safe about it. My good friend Nika, okay? She just lost her sister. I can't remember if it was last night I talked to her or the night before. Time's kind of running together for me. She got the first jab-a-dab-doo. Lost the use of her arms and her legs. She's got kids. Can't work. Can't take care of her kids. That was jab-a-dab-doo number 1. Then she went and got jab-a-dab-doo number 2, and she died. That was it. She had a stroke, died. That is the safety that they're trying to sell to the people. Okay? So all of you people that are on the fence about maybe I will, maybe I won't, this guy's not. Okay? And when that old man also said, this isn't about freedom. It is absolutely about freedom. That's all this is about. Because it's certainly not about health. No way, in any way, shape, or form is this about health. This is only about freedom. They're trying to break it down until people are so weak that they can't do it anymore. I love researching a lot of these dystopian movies. Being an actor, watching movies is kind of studying my craft. I take it very seriously. I really like to dig into it and get a little deeper than most. People don't particularly love watching movies with me because I break them down an awful lot. Especially when it's a dystopian movie. I'll be like, ha, did you see that? And they're like, I don't get it. But they told everybody what they were going to be doing, okay? And one of their main plans not only is to sterilize, but also to mass medicate people, okay? So people will be dumbed down and be under control under a medication. And that's what they want. You watch Equilibrium, you watch Equals. Equals is a great movie. The Giver. They all have your daily meds you got to take. Even 1984, they were giving everybody gin first thing in the morning, lunch, dinner. Everybody had gin just to pacify them while they lied through the TV, about wars that were not even happening, but they manufactured them. In Equals, they show, what's the name of it? Atlas maybe, or Anon? I can't remember. But basically, their version of NASA. And there was a whole section of them that were, their job in this dystopian life was to create video and graphic designs to make people believe that there was space and space missions and everything. It was all make-believe. There was no such thing. And they would all say to other, "Are you going to watch the launch today? Are you going to watch the launch today?" And anybody who came down with SOS, they would always give warnings. Be careful. Look around you. Make sure you identify if anybody seems to have symptoms of SOS, and that is sudden onset senses. If people start sensing again, that's SOS. If you start having feelings, that's SOS. And there's different levels of feelings. So if you have a grade 1 SOS, they might be able to rehabilitate you. Grade 2 SOS, you're put at somewhat of a risk. Grade 3, you're at great risk. At grade 4, they euthanize you. So this stuff is talked about a lot. They put this over and over and over. It's predictive programming. And if you don't believe it, go watch it and see if there's any truth that speaks to you. I challenge everybody to go watch that. Okay? In the meantime, I challenge everybody to go and I'll drop some information in here about the separation of the United States citizen and the American national, because that's something I think is really important. They have control over the artificial person. They don't have control over the natural person. Okay, that's natural law. That's God's law. Okay, and they are allowed to lie. That is lawful. You know, the law says don't injure anybody or their property. Everything else is fine. If you want to speak and lie to someone, that's actually lawful. God gives us the ability to do that. There's nothing unlawful about it. Now, I'm not saying legal, because legal is their kangaroo court system. Their statutes and codes, that's all legality, okay? The courts and the attorneys and all that, that's all legality. That's legal, okay? So if you want to use those things in their system, I think there's a great value in that for people that are trying to hang on to certain things. Like I filed my religious exemption with a director, and it worked, okay, for a minute. But the long game is that eventually that stuff is not going to work, because their legal system is they're going to put a stop to some of that. They're going to find a loophole in there, because their statutes and codes are built to be manipulated as they will. The judges, which are administrators, their job is to arbitrarily interpret these, okay? So don't think that you're going to get justice in a court of equity when it's their statutes and codes, okay? It's their horseshit. The only law you can actually get is to claim being an American national so they don't harm you, okay? And then you have to live that way too. And I say that because I know people who have lived that way, and so far seems like they're all doing pretty good. These people have not been injured or harmed in any way. They can't come after them for an income tax that's not owed, unless you have agreed to do it. Even the head of the IRS himself said income tax is voluntary. Really? He said that? Yes, he said that. So why would he say that? Well, because. Why would Donald Trump say, I don't pay taxes because I'm smarter than you? It's not because he's smarter necessarily. I mean, in a way, yeah, he has knowledge you don't have. You don't understand how it all works, okay? So if you're an artificial person, you're technically a corporation. The definition of income is corporate gains. So if you're functioning as an artificial person, you're functioning as a corporation, and therefore you're volunteering into their system. Unvolunteer. Then you don't fall under the agreement with them. You're not contracting with them. You're uncontracting with them and saying, I no longer wish to participate in this nonsense. Okay? I know lots of people that have done it. I've done it. That's how you do it. But you have to be courageous. You have to have courage. You got to have balls. Okay, for the guys. I'm not sure what we're going to call it for the girls. But this all takes courage. It all takes courage. And it does take some studying so that you can get familiar with what you're talking about. If you don't study and you spend too much time distracting yourself with entertainment, then you're not going to be able to educate yourself, because we're already behind the ball. Most of us are, have already been fed a false education and have a lot of catch up to do. And it's important for us to learn it so we can teach it to the younger people too. Okay? Again, it's the community. We got to come together in a community. Those people that are having their kids go to, federal education, you're insane. You are absolutely dropping the ball. You need to get your kids out of there. Okay? Good for, I talked to a couple people that are homeschooling, and those people need to try to help other people to get their kids in there too. If there's teachers out there, I have another friend, she's a teacher, and I've been telling her, I'm like, I even told my mother was a teacher, but she's like, I'm retired, and I'm like, we're not retired from life ever, and they need you now more than ever. You have 30 years experience. You could easily take on 15 students, and then because the parents can work, they can pay for the students, so you can actually kind of earn a living being a teacher. If you want to make it into your full mode of commerce, which again is perfectly fine. You don't need to be licensed or registered to perform the commerce of educating another. Okay? If I want to learn how to fix cars, I don't need to go to someone who's registered or licensed. I just need to find somebody who knows how to be a mechanic. And if you fix cars, you're a mechanic. I do physical therapy. I don't have to go get a doctor of physical therapy in order to do a physical therapy. If I can help somebody heal, then I am physically helping them rehabilitate their body. That's the definition of physical therapy. And when you do register and license and do an S4, get an LLC corporation, any of those, you are now putting yourself on as a subcorporation of the Corporation of the United States and under their statutes and codes and their jurisdiction. Okay, the idea is to stay out of their jurisdiction. There are people that were in Germany when all that stuff was going down. And you know what? They were German nationals, and they stayed out of all that stuff. It was the citizens that were all having trouble. And the people that didn't know how to get out of the citizenship were the ones that volunteered themselves into servitude, meaning they went to labor camps, which they have FEMA camps now. And guess who these FEMA camps are for? Citizens that don't play by the rules of the United States corporation. They're not for free nationals of the land. They're for citizens, because nationals, they don't have any jurisdiction over nationals. Okay, they do, for some reason, they do respect certain laws of freedom. They have to. I don't know why. Everybody goes, they're so corrupt. Yeah, when you're working within their system, yes, because you agreed to let that judge arbitrarily decide what happens to you. And when they put you in jail, they can tap your bond, and they can charge your bond, and they can draw money off of your bond while you're in prison. Okay? That's what a charge is. They're charging you. That's why they do it. That's why they want to put so many people in jail, because they're making a ton of money off of you when they do that. And it's not from the taxpayers. It's from the American Treasury. They can charge. So anyway, back to this speech. This was the most incredible thing I've ever heard, The way they got this old man up there to deliver this, we just need to do it. And they kept blaming the unjabba dude, We'll call him just the there we go. So anybody who's it's their fault. It's their fault. I think a lot of people could pick up on that. Again, the majority of these sheep, they cannot think for themselves. So they heard that, and then, yes, they blame it on me. Like my friend today. I could tell it in his voice. He still loves me, but he's like, dude, just do it. Like he bought it, hook, line, and sinker, that we uns are the problem. And we're not, obviously. I think we all know that. So it is very important, again, like I keep saying, the same way he kept repeating himself over and over and over. He kept repeating his points, giving his numbers and saying it's the uns fault. It's the uns fault. And he kept hammering those things home. Remember, repetition. That's how they brainwash people. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Because when you go out and you start having a conversation with somebody, what's the first thing that they tell you? They parrot back what you heard on the TV. So whatever Captain Bobo said, they're parroting it back to us, right? Captain Bobo said it's the uns fault. It's the uns fault. It's the uns fault. But we know better. He kept saying the uns are the ones that are in the hospital. No, they're not. I don't buy any of that. And then I hear, 3 uns, in Florida died. No, I don't buy that either. They can tell you whatever they want. By the way, within their legal system, propaganda is legal. It is perfectly legal. There's nothing wrong with them lying their asses off to you. They're allowed to lie to you. I don't know what it is about this world, but the power greater than us, for some reason, has made the rules where they have to tell you what they're going to do to you before they... And they're allowed to lie to you so they can misdirect you. And the main thing I think a lot of people don't understand, that the path of righteousness, right is the core word, right? It's the prefix. Right, righteousness, being right. The path of righteousness is narrow, okay? It's very easy to be involved in a religion because there's many people in that religion and they're all going down the wide path. They all think they're doing the same thing. We're all in this together. When the truth is, the path of the righteousness is only wide enough for one person at a time. That's because each and every person has to make their own decision and be courageous enough to walk through that path that's thorny on both sides. If you've ever been down a path that hasn't been walked very often, the brush is growing in, and sometimes there's thorns and there's things that'll scratch you up. It's a difficult path to walk, right? The one everybody goes on, nice and wide and well-worn. The path of the righteous, only wide enough for one person, and it's difficult. It's a tough hike. But we each have to go through that by ourselves. We're born into this world by ourselves, and we will go out of this world by ourselves. And there are many decisions in this life we have to make that only we can make. Are we going to take the path of righteousness, which is the narrow path? Or are we going to join all the potluckers in their nice big wide path? There's not a group that's going to save you. It's one person at a time. And it's one person connecting with one person at a time. It's one person using one person's services at a time. I've tried to connect with certain people and who have made it obvious they want to use some of my services. And then for whatever reason, they haven't. They just decided not to. That's one way we can support one another. I drove all the way to Long Beach to support a veterinary. She ended up being a psychopath, so I wouldn't refer her to anyone. I mean, a real legitimate psychopath. Stay away from the Peninsula Pet Clinic with Dr. V, 100%. But I went up and gave it a shot because I want to support people who are standing up for their rights. Okay? And even though she's a psychopath, she still has the right to not have, the mask or the jabba-dabba-doo. So we need to support one another. And, that means going out of our way to use services from people who are in our community. If we're not doing that, we're failing. 100%. That's like not, if we don't patronize restaurants and businesses, then they're going to fail. And then what do you got left? You got the corporation. What happens if you got to go to a corporation? They're going to make you wear the you-know-what and get the jibba-dabba-doo. If you don't have those things, you're not going to be able to use a corporate environment. I make a point of going to the farmers markets all the time, and I get to know the farmers, and I find out where the farmers live so that I can go visit them on their farm when they close down my ability to go to a farmer's market. Okay? These are the things we got to start doing. There's not going to be a mass casualty. It's not just all going to blow up in our face. Pardon me. They're slowly tightening the screws. This is going to take a bit of time, but you see they're moving pretty darn fast, right? Those of us who have extra, we need to give to others to help support them along the way. We must. Those of us who are saying we're retired, get off your asses. You're not retired. The world needs you, and you have time, and you probably have resources if you're retired. Please like and subscribe to this video. Go watch my other videos. I got a lot of great information on there. I got videos on all kinds of stuff about the test and other information about, again, the national and the U.S. citizen. Very important things. There is a phone call you can get into. I'm going to leave the link at the bottom. Again, this guy, Roger Sayles, he does a phone call Monday through Thursday. On Friday, it's Common Law Friday. It's a lot of Bible stuff. If you can, get through that. There is a guy named Brett Winters at commonlawyer.com, I think it is. And it's important to learn common law and understand that it works differently, and what rights do you have and what tools can you use to navigate this system? I filed an affidavit. It's unrebutted. So they gave me a parking ticket. I said, I didn't make a contract with you about that parking ticket. Guess what? It's gone. They never got back to me, and there was never a charge. Sorry, something, it died for a minute. So I'm going to wrap it up here anyway. So there are a lot of tools that we have. So Roger Sayles is what I was talking about. It's a good place to learn a little bit about U.S. citizen, American national, and also if you have any IRS questions as well, okay? How to file your affidavit with the IRS and opt out of that insanity, okay? There is a way for you to get free. And it's not by using their system. It's by getting out of their system and by connecting with community. We build our own communities. We teach our own children. We use each other's services. We share with one another. We support one another. I can't tell you how happy I am to have neighbors now that hug me. Like, that is just amazing. My neighbor came over and just gave me a hug today, and I was just like, yes. I just needed that. So hug someone. Give to someone. Share yourself with someone. It will come back to you. That is what happiness is. Happiness isn't this amazing explosion of bliss. Happiness is the absence of suffering. So when you can help somebody avoid suffering, that's adding happiness to your life. And while you're busy helping someone, you're not thinking about, poor me. I'm lonely today. I need some ice cream. So by giving to others, you're going to get back. Okay? Hey, man, I love you all so very much. And the next video I'm going to do, I promise, my good friend Dorsey. Dorsey's another person that gives back. She's always, an animal rights activist. She's been there for me to help me, when Dude Man went blind to get a babysitter. Dude Man, stop it. He's chewing on his tail again. Sorry. And so, she's just another one that's quite a giver. And I was so happy to talk to her today, and not today, a couple of days ago, and just kind of help her through her travel plans and stuff like that. So my friend Nancy, I love her to death. She's amazing. She's another huge giver, and luckily she's an oak, and she's got lots of resources, and she helps so many people sending thousands of dollars to different businesses that are standing up against these monsters. And it's important people start really spreading the love. Stay present. Don't keep hoarding all your shit for what's down the road in 5 years. We need to support each other now. If I had more support, I could be doing this type of stuff more often. And there's other people like me as well. So just give to one another, connect with your community, and stay present. Just stay present. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the future. You have no control over it. The only thing you have control over is what you put in your mouth, and if you move your ass down the street in a form of exercise. Get your exercise, eat right. Those are the things you have control over. As you get strong by making your body strong, your courage will get strong too. Okay. Put your thinking caps on. We need the thinkers nowadays. And I will see you guys next time. I will talk about what being sick really means. Okay? All right.